All right. So you ready to get into it?
Yeah,
Are
let's
you
do this. I haven't had anyone to talk to about all of this. So,
really? Yeah. Well, it was funny because like when you were talking about it, and I was like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna watch this. Like, I'm not sure how I feel because obviously I love the original, and I fall asleep to the '60s version on TV every night.
yeah.
There's like a on Pluto TV. There's the Adams Family channel, so it just
Oh,
plays Adams Family. There's only 3 seasons of it, but it plays all 3 seasons every day, all day long.
heck
So, um, yeah. So I that's what I turn on when I go to bed. I just turn that shit on. But I was like, and then I started watching it. And I was like, okay, she's doing okay. And that's when I was like, I don't know about these like visions and shit like that. And then by episode 4, I was like, okay, I'm good. Like
yeah.
this is wonderful. Like all the little things that I can complain about, which I still will, but I don't mind them. Like they're totally just passable.
Yeah. When we were talking about it, I was like, I really like just want him to like this. And then you're like, all right, I'm gonna watch it. And I was like, what if he doesn't like it? And then we're gonna have to talk. Like, I was just like, oh God. So I'm happy that you liked it.
Yeah. So, welcome to the show. This is obviously something that we don't do here, but since we both have, in passing on Facebook, talked about Wednesday a ton, and you're the person that was really the driving force for me watching it, you're the important person to have on here because you've been posting about it for weeks now. And I wanted to make sure that you had a chance to say all the things that you loved about it, and all 4 or 5 of our viewers would hear them. So let's hop into it. We're gonna go episode by episode, I guess. That's what we kind of came to the conclusion of. Um, so starting with episode 1, we're pretty much introduced to every character essentially. What did you love it right away?
Okay, so the first like few minutes of it, I was like, I don't
Yeah.
know. When it started off at like Nancy Reagan High School, like, I mean, it just, the piranhas, I was like, this is gonna be like ridiculous
Hmm.
off the rip. Okay, that's how it's gonna be. And then I saw Gomez and Morticia, and I agreed with the casting, but I was really nervous about their chemistry because, like, previously, like, they just had some really big shoes to fill.
Hmm.
But then, like, after that first few minutes, I was like, I'm into it
Yeah.
once she went to the school and everything, and there's so many, just, like, nods to other, like, movies that Tim Burton directed in that
Hmm.
episode alone.
So what nods did you see? Because I didn't pick. I picked up on a lot of Adams Family nods, but I didn't pick up on other Tim Burton nods. So.
So, I, went the hitchhiker for the first, like, monster murder that we
Hmm.
see, he's picked up by a woman in a truck, and she's got, like, really big eyeballs, like Large Marge, Louise Adventure. And then, let's see, the Sleepy Hollow tree, that's in the quad. It's, like, also,
Oh, okay.
yeah, that one I noticed last night when I was, like, doing the note taking and stuff.
Hmm.
I was like, "Oh, shit, that would be good to add in there." And then, yeah, this had to have been in the first episode because it's on this page, but, when Wednesday is talking about her pet scorpion,
Hmm.
and she's, like, at the grave in Nightmare Before Christmas, it reminded me of that for some reason.
Hmm.
I don't know, is the ghost dog, is his name Zero?
Hmm.
Okay, so there we go, and the scorpion's name was Nero. I was
Yeah.
right, thank God.
I didn't even pick up on that. I did notice the tree, and I was like, that tree is like so blatant when they walk in there because there's nothing else around it. It's in the middle of this pond or fountain or whatever, but I didn't know it was the tree from Sleepy Hollow. And I had read the Large Marge thing, but I didn't put the two together.
Yeah. I've I wanna say it was on purpose, but I can't speak for them, but it's just, like, that was really it was really good if it, like, wasn't on purpose.
Right, yeah. Well, we know Tim Burton has a style. We've all seen that picture of Johnny Depp with pigtails by now, so.
Oh god, yes. So, in the way that, Jenna Ortega is, like, portraying Wednesday and, like, some of her faces and, like, mannerisms,
Mhm.
it reminds me a lot of Edward Scissorhands at times.
Yeah. I got oddly not a Tim Burton thing, but I got Jack Sparrow just because of like how he would like turn, like she used her turning of her head and like the glances at people in such a way that I was like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I see that. Because like a lot of times she would turn her eyes and then her like she didn't just turn her head, she turned her whole, like it was all one unit. And I was like, that's a pretty Jack Sparrow thing to do. But
Yeah, that's really good, detail there that you picked up on. Mm.
so what let's get it out of the way because the supporting cast is going to be something that we're going to have to deal with eventually. You said that you liked the casting for Morticia and Gomez. Did you did you find anything problematic with them and like Pugsley?
Um, I didn't I didn't necessarily, like, find anything problematic. One thing I will say is that, um, it was interesting for me to watch because it's like Wednesday's a teenage girl, so it felt like we were kind of, like, seeing them through her eyes in a way
Hmm.
because her parents are, like they're not as, I don't wanna say, like their chemistry is just different, like, it's
Hmm.
there, but it's in a way that it's just like, "Okay, I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
how to describe it." Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see. I That's a good point actually because I thought that there was a huge lack of chemistry and the chemistry that was there was forced. But as far as like the chemistry thing, I didn't look at it from the way you're saying, like seeing them through her
Mhm.
eyes, but I didn't find the chemistry to be really there at all.
Yeah,
And I liked Luis Guzman as Gomez,
me too.
and Catherine Zeta-Jones looked the part, but I didn't like her as Morticia. That I feel like there was anybody else that they could have used. I just didn't. Angelica Houston was such a like force, and she went through a lot of pains to be Morticia and film those movies. Like I was reading all kinds of stuff about how they were like gluing her eyes back and shit like that. But I didn't feel her in that role. And to that note, I hated Pugsley. I was like this kid because emotion was never something from the Adams family. Like they loved each other and they were nice to each other in the show, in the TV show. But in the 90s movies, which is where I was basing the majority of my Adams family comparisons to,
Yeah.
they didn't have emotion. And here Pugsley is being emotional, hugging, and like, oh well, I'm sad because dad's a murderer. Like, no, like no, 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 no. Don't put those things on them.
No.
But outside those two characters, I think pretty much everybody else in the show was great.
Yeah. For some reason, like, Pugsley, I was just kind of like I didn't think too much about his character because I don't know, just going into it, I was like, "This show's about Wednesday." Blah.
Yeah.
I was just so happy to see her, like, finally get, like, her spotlight because had been, like, such, like, a static character.
Hmm.
Just, like, see her grow and develop was really cool.
Yeah, it was. And like I said, I complain about these things, but they weren't big enough to take away from the show by any means.
Yeah.
Um It was just something that I had to mention, essentially. Like, I just had to have some sort of complaint because I didn't want to, like, sit here and be like, "It's so awesome. I love every single second of it," without, saying, like, "All right, well, there were some flaws."
Definitely there were, and I agree with you on the chemistry aspect. I think I just kind of, like, convinced myself to, like, look at it that way between me
Mhm.
and Morticia to, like, make myself feel better about it.
Yeah. What else in this first episode, like, really stood out to you? I mean, that we get an introduction to all these characters, so
Yeah, let me just look at my notes.
yeah, I'll do the
Okay,
same.
Principal Weems.
Mhm.
Um, I fucking loved her.
Really?
Is so hot. I just love the actress, like, in and of like, and just her whole, like, character arc, I love that too.
Mhm.
She just was, like, ended up being a really complex character, but
Yeah.
as I saw her, I was like, I recognized her because 'cause I've like, watched the first few episodes of Game of Thrones, and I think
Mhm.
she was in that,
Mhm.
and she was, like, a badass warrior, and I was like, "I love you!" Yeah, other than that, I'm trying to think about what else. Yeah, when she's talking about, like, the scorpion death, that was, like, really sad, and it kind of, like, showed us that, like, okay, so Wednesday does have, like, deeper emotions
Mhm.
than just, like, wrath and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, the end where she's playing, Paint It Black on the cello was fucking cool.
Yeah.
Jenna Ortega took actual lessons for that,
Mhm.
and that's really fucking cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so the principal, I was very I was very on the fence, the headmaster principal, whatever she is. I was very on the fence with her pretty much the entire series. I was like, I was just like, I can't tell if she's a good guy, if she's a bad guy, if she's like deliberately against them and blowing off things because she has her opinion of Gomez, or if she's just trying to do the right thing. The actress, great, like she killed it. The other thing is, it took all of 2 seconds for me to just love Enid. Like, the second that she walks into the room, and just their chemistry together was what made the show for me. Like,
Mhm.
the story and the mystery and stuff, that's all good and fine, but those two's chemistry being the polar opposite of each other, it was just so much fun to watch, and how relentless Enid is in her, like, friendliness and her want to be Wednesday's friend. Like, immediately she's like, "I don't care if you don't like me, we're going to be friends." And I've had people like that in my life, and eventually they will win you over because you just can't help it, especially when it's somebody, that, like, the bubbly personality. You can't, like, at first you're like, ugh, and then after a while you're like, yeah, it's kind of nice to have that around sometimes. And spoilers, as soon as I saw Christina Ricci, I was like, oh, that's the bad guy. Cool.
Like, we all know where this is going.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um,
I thought, Enid was going to be a villain at first. I thought that she was just gonna be, like, end up being her nemesis, but it was really just so endearing to see her and Wednesday become friends, and, like,
mhm.
I really wanna snood now, um, those, like, knitted things.
Yeah, yeah,
One now, so
yeah. We can get matching snoods if you want.
perfect.
Yeah, that will go over really well. Yeah, so that, and yeah, like you mentioned, that cello, that was amazing. That's like, because at the introduction of everybody, I was like, kind of, I was I was doing a lot of like, okay, and then, like, the visions and the supernatural, like the crystal ball thing. I was like, yeah, that's not really what they were about. They lived with a lion, but like in the 60s show they lived with a lion, but they didn't have like a lot of magic and nobody had abilities and things like that. So I was like very shaky as to if they were going to take this in a route that took it too far away from the original and didn't stay true to it. But once she started playing the cello and you see everybody kind of turn and hear it, I was like, damn, this is really awesome. And she did such an amazing job. I was like, well, it's impossible to hate the show at this point, even though I was so skeptical going into it. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was crazy. Let's see what else. What else do you have?
Yeah, we got everything pretty much laid out in the first episode as far as like the monster attack
Mm-hmm.
and the parental backstory of like they went to that school so you know something's gonna be there, and then the sheriff's like, your dad's a murderer, so
Mm-hmm.
you know something like something weird is happening, and then the page out of the book,
Mm-hmm.
um the prophecy hints, like everything's like just super laid out, and so you just know it's all gonna come together. That's why the visions didn't bother me as much. If it wouldn't have like been laid out in such a way and weaved together in such a way, I would have been like, this is stupid. But they served a purpose in the
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah, the like that's kind of how I felt about Rowan. Like he was just a plot device to move the story further. Like he was just supposed to introduce this and then go away.
yeah,
And so like his character wasn't like I didn't even pay much attention to him. I did notice how bad the CGI was on the hide though, and I was like, "Ooh, that's really this is what you chose to not spend money on right now was this monster that's almost the entire point of the show. You
yeah.
guys like let some high school CGI artist put together your monster for you. Okay, cool. You were
No,
spending way too much money on their like dorm room set and then was like, well, we got $50 and two hot dogs. Who wants to do this monster for that?
yeah, we got this Romanian castle. I do want to point out or talk about the fencing scene between Wednesday and Bianca.
Hmm.
I thought that was cool as fuck because typically when you see a scene like that of like the newcomer or the outsider coming in and
Hmm.
challenging like the popular person, like you typically see the newcomer or outside whatever like kick ass.
Hmm.
But you did not see that
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
this.
that was definitely completely different than what I was expecting.
Yeah, yeah. I was just like, damn, okay, so we see that like even though Wednesday is like this evil genius mastermind, she's also just like a fallible teenage girl, human being. Like
Hmm.
she's gonna make mistakes sometimes.
Yeah.
That was just really cool to see.
And I thought that it was one thing that I was like, this, the first episode is so silly because it sets up everybody as a red herring. Like, you think everybody's going to be the bad guy. It sets up Xavier. It like almost purposely didn't set up Christina Ricci as the bad guy, which
Yeah,
made me, just because I watched so many movies, I'm like, well, obviously if
that
I didn't already think that, now I definitely know that. But
yeah.
everybody's the bad guy except for this one person. Like I'm like Dewey from Scream 5. Like, oh, you want to know the killer? How about him? How well do we know him? Your boyfriend. What? He's probably the killer.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like the obvious one is the one. So,
Yeah. When I did the rewatch last night, and so they find the hitchhiker's body in the woods
mhm.
and it's raining. For some reason, they just don't utilize umbrellas a lot in this show because they did not.
Yeah,
We were just getting like fucking rained on really
yeah.
bad. But after that scene happens, you see Christina Ricci come in to the
Hmm.
dorm and she's got those red boots on. And as soon as I saw the red boots, like the first time I was like, okay, bold footwear choice. But then when I rewatched it last night, I was like, those fucking boots are muddy because she was out there doing some shit. Like, go back and watch it. It's just like, of course, that's where everybody was during all these times.
Hmm. Yeah, it still doesn't really explain Xavier's creepiness of following her around everywhere, but whatever.
Yeah.
Um, we also get to meet Thing, which I think that we should talk about how awesome that actor is to have crawled around on the floor essentially for however many months they were shooting. Like, that's impressive. And Thing is like, outside of Wednesday and Enid, Thing is my favorite thing about this show.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Amazing.
Even though he shouldn't be able to hear or see anything, but yet they just give him the ability without eyes and ears to do both. The character is great.
Yeah.
It's a great step up from the other character,
Mhm.
and he conveys a lot of different uh, emotions with just a hand. So
Yes.
that was a lot of fun too.
Yeah, for sure. I loved it so much, and I was like trying to imagine. I was like, all right, so someone's in a suit right now, right behind that hand, and just like all of the little things he did to like when he was like cowering or when he was like being sassy, like you could just tell it just communicated really good. And I think at some points he was doing real sign language.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know sign language, but it really looked like it. And I think that was that guy's first role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine there's not a ton of roles for a hand, but
Yeah.
you know, yeah, I believe I read somewhere that it was real sign language, and I want to say that everybody learned sign language or something like that. I could be making that up, but I want to say, like, because Enid talks to, or she understands the sign language, and so does Wednesday. And I also really enjoyed how quickly Enid and Thing just like became pals. Like, it
Yes.
wasn't weird that there's a severed hand running around. She's just like, yeah, he gives great massages and we talk a lot. Like,
Yeah.
okay, that's cool. Okay, episode two. I have like four lines written for episode two. So hopefully you've got something to say about it.
Um, I'm about the same. I mean, the Po Cup race was really cool. That's when we see Wednesday kind of show up for Enid, and
Hmm.
it's mostly because like she breaks into Xavier's room to
Hmm.
find out more about Rowan. And she hears Bianca talking shit basically, and
Hmm.
just really wants to put her in her place because she hasn't let go of losing
Yeah.
the fencing match. So I appreciated that, and it was definitely really cool to see like the sirens
Hmm.
get their kind of moment, and then yeah, we got more flashbacks in that one too, or like visions, I guess. But and then I don't know, we find out Principal Weems is a shapeshifter. Fucking cool. It throws you off a lot because you're like, why is she pretending to be this kid who's definitely dead? Like he's dead. So why is that happening? And then Christina Ritchie, she's like talking to Wednesday about something. She's trying to find the other half of that page.
Hmm.
And I think she did this on purpose, like playing this character, because she just comes off very sus when she's
Hmm.
talking to her. She's like, I don't know, I've only been here like a year or
Hmm.
something. She just
Yeah.
says it in such a way where it's like, why'd you gotta say it like that? So it's
Yeah.
I don't know if that was like kind of on purpose. I mean, it definitely was on purpose because
Right.
everything they do as actors. But yeah, and then Eugene, I love that character so
Yeah.
much, and that's
Yeah.
all I have written down for that.
I like Wednesdays and Things like heart to heart moment on Enid's bed where like he's flipping through the magazine and he won't like talk to her at first. Um that I thought was a really fun scene. I really like that, and that's one of those things that like made me like, okay, like this is obviously it's not necessarily aimed at old dudes like myself, but like there's still cute moments in it and I can appreciate them. Um, it's also where I came to the conclusion how Thing is doing any of the things that he's doing because he can't hear or see. Like he's trailing somebody and he's like walking through and he even like turns his hand to like look, like he's looking. Like when the headmaster comes back out of the bathroom as the other person, he goes in, he comes back out and he's like turning his hand. I'm like, you can't see. What are you doing? Like you don't have eyeballs, knock it off.
Yeah.
Um, but then we get the little snap twice throwback, uh,
Yeah.
nod. And as much as I like Danny Elfman, like you get
Yeah.
Tim Burton, you get Danny Elfman, like they're a
Yeah.
package deal essentially. And I have no complaints about Danny Elfman. I think he's an amazing composer. But why they didn't use the Adams Family theme anywhere in the show, really? Like the only thing to the theme is the snapping twice,
Yeah.
and they used it in a different way. So I don't know, but that's all I had for episode number 2. I didn't have a lot written down. I have a little bit more for episode 3, but
Yeah,
oh,
I'm on the same page. I'm glad you brought up that scene with Thing because I like forgot about it. But it was just such a good moment because she admits she's like, I don't want to be the one that's like that ruins everything.
hmm
Like, oh my god, I don't know, just like I was a teenage girl once, so just like seeing her like be like fuck everything, it's completely deadpan, and then she's like, yeah, but I don't know, like in her own way,
hmm
it was really fucking endearing for me to see that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's some of us that no matter what, like how you grew up, you not only a feel that way but also b can really relate with that sentiment of just like it's easier this way,
Mhm.
but I also don't want to be this way. This isn't all
Yeah.
there is, but this is the safest way for me to be. Yeah, so let's just move into number 3. Whatever, back to Wednesday, I guess. Yeah, so with this episode, I feel like episode 3 is just more of like putting information, giving you the information that you need to watch the rest of the show, basically.
Yeah.
It sets up Jericho, it sets up Crackstone, and gives you the information because at that time you don't know who the figure in the other page of the drawing is. So you figure out who that is. You kind of figure out how puritanical and ridiculously religious Jericho was at that time. You learn a little bit about Goody, but again, still somehow, even though all this information is thrown at you, one of the biggest moments that stands out is Enid and Ajax, where
Yeah.
like she's just hounding him, and then he's just your typical dumb dude, and he's like, so wait, you want me to ask you out, like you want me to go to the greenhouse with you? And then he walks away and she's like, yes, I can't believe he asked. And I was like, you twisted his arm and like made him. But like it's such a cute moment that it's like for some reason that's what stands out like out of everything else. And of course, the burning down the statue and stuff. But
That was fucking epic. There
mhm,
was also a couple of, I mean, there's another subplot with like Xavier when he's staring at the wall.
mhm.
And then you find out, oh, we haven't even talked about Tyler. I fucking hated Tyler.
The
He,
whole show like immediately.
yeah, I didn't fucking, I hated his face.
Okay, all right.
I
I
was
mean,
like, fuck this guy. And I knew she was gonna like go for him. And
yeah,
oh,
you were trying to protect Wednesday from herself.
yeah, I
um
guess so.
yeah, he I realized like pretty much immediately that he was going to be a big part of the show. I obviously at the time I didn't know how big, but I was like, he's going to be in it for the long haul. And I didn't like his shaky, breaky like voice. and how, I don't want to say pathetic, but how like of a bitch he came off as. I don't know, because like that's not really how he presented himself. Because he did try to like bust in when she was about to whoop the pilgrims' asses.
Mhm.
Like he did like, hey man, back off. But also any other time he's just like, Wednesday, can you? And it's just like, dude, come on, man.
It's so annoying. Yeah, I just ugh. And then I don't know. I love how she got buddied up with Eugene.
Hmm.
I loved his character so much.
Yeah.
I loved what his power ended up being, like the bees and everything
Hmm.
like that. I loved that so much. But
Yeah, he's definitely that, like the character is so innocent, but yet he's also relatable to just have, like, because everybody has that person that they crush on. Like
mhm,
he's crushing on Enid and he just doesn't see that there's no chance. Like
mhm,
he's got that like hopefulness, like that dumb hopefulness of like, it could happen. Like it was
yeah,
almost like a Dumb and Dumber reference. Like, so there's a chance, but like, yeah, his character, he's so awesome, and he's just like, go with the flow. You're nice, and like Wednesday is nice to him, oddly, because she's so standoffish with everybody else, but when she meets him, she shakes his hand. She immediately is just like, it's almost like she lets her guard down with him, not like emotionally, but she's not so suspicious of him. And
yeah,
maybe that's because he comes off so harmless, but it 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 shows that he's a good person
mhm,
because of how casual she is with him.
yeah,
um she's not so much, but yeah, I really liked him, and it's funny that you didn't like Tyler. The thing that annoyed me the most was like when his dad's putting the dog in the truck and he's like, oh, what's going on, and they explains, and he's like, so what are you talking about in therapy? And he's like, games and woke culture. And then he's like, oh, we talk about mom, dad. And I was like, oh dude, come
no,
on man, like chill out. Like you don't got to be that guy. Like
yeah.
don't be the whiny baby dude. Like I don't think Wednesday's gonna go for that character. But
Yeah, and I was just so mad about it too. But anyways, we'll get to like just all the how their relationship evolves. It just
mhm.
makes me like angry because they like get really cute for a minute, and I'm like, stop!
Yeah, pretty much anytime she started to like show affection towards anybody, I just wanted to grab her and be like, no, no,
Yeah,
don't do this. But yeah, that will be for the later episodes when that comes up.
yeah.
Okay, so the only other thing for this is the sheriff gets proof, but again, still, it's the little things with this show that just made me fall in love with it and made me fall in love with Jenna Ortega's character when she steps up onto that platform, when he's getting ready to get thrown into the stocks, when Eugene's getting to go thrown into the stocks, and the way she's standing sideways and looking, and she goes, howdy pilgrims, like that. I was just like, fuck, that's awesome.
I thought it was cool because like, you know, she's calling out colonization mad
Hmm.
hard during this
Hmm. Yeah.
and it reminds me of the movie because doesn't Wednesday set everything on fire in the movie?
Yeah, yeah, at the Thanksgiving.
Catch you on fire
uh
was like, hell yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, the little explanation that she gives to the Germans with the fudge, I was like, that's hilarious. Like
Yeah.
that's something I could see Wednesday doing, like being intelligent enough to have a reason for doing it and not just like hating the fact that she's there and doing it.
Mhm.
She actually has a reason, and there's something really to be said behind it, essentially.
But yeah, that's all I have for that episode besides the the Metallica playing at the end. I thought
Yeah,
that was cool.
yeah, yeah. That was, again, the cello makes an appearance, and it's really, really good.
Oh yeah, that was just a beautiful scene.
Yeah, yeah. It when in that scene specifically, like we see in the first episode, she's playing the cello, and it's almost like a release for her, like therapeutic for her. She's like releasing her day's emotions, and a lot's happened and whatever. But in this one, she's like, and it's like a weak ass Metallica song,
It is.
but it fit, but it's like not, it's not going to compare to the Stranger Things use of
Yeah.
Metallica, but she's aggressively doing it. Like she's showing like, I'm right here, but fuck you also, because it's me, but you can't prove it.
Yeah.
And it's like two different, it's seeing her use the same instrument in two different ways. She's like speaking through it in two different versions of herself, which of course that scene was awesome.
Yeah.
um
I love that. Oh, and how she's like writing books or like stories,
mhm.
and it's like really just based off of her life.
Yeah.
I did corny shit like that when I was a teenager, and I related to that so fucking hard. I was like, call me out. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the it's funny because when she's talking to the therapist who looks like a weasel, um I thought, like, she was like, "Oh, what's your novel about?" And she just explains like her day, and I was like, "Okay, like, yeah, all right, cool."
Yeah, you just didn't want to have a diary.
Yeah, yeah. Episode 4.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. There's more to talk about in this episode than the dance scene, but
Mhm.
that's pretty much the big thing. Like,
Yeah.
in reality, it's the dance that I want to talk about, but the scene as a whole sets up a lot. Like, we find out Tyler picked on Xavier, and that's why he was staring at the mural. Um, and then we see, which I was starting to like the pair of the Pilgrim and Enid together. Like, it
Really?
was, yeah, it was really, it's, yeah, I'm not going to touch on the fact that the one black kid in this show is named Lucas, and the one black kid in Stranger Things is named Lucas. Um,
Oh, that's weird.
yeah,
Oh my god.
they might as well just call him Token.
Oh
But
my god.
yeah, I was starting to like that, but I was like, there's no way this can play out, because clearly, even though the relation, or at the time the relationship between her and Ajax had crumbled because he turned to stone, doesn't mean like, it's that's clearly where it has to go. But her knowing like the hockey thing, like the hockey stuff and everything, like, I was like, oh dude. And I thought like she was winning him over, which she was, but I thought that that was going to be a tide turn for like maybe the town not being such a piece of shit towards Nevermore.
Yeah.
And of course it gets ruined, but
Yeah, it was too late to turn back for him to
yeah,
stop, I
yeah,
guess. So,
yeah. And he made one very pitiful like attempt when they showed up with the truck. He was like, hey guys, maybe let's don't. And they were like, ah, shut up. And he's like, okay.
yeah.
But that was like the amount of effort he put in. So
Yeah, and I loved when the 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 fake blood rained down.
mhm,
I
yeah,
love it. It did
yeah,
bother me a bit. I love
yeah.
that Wednesday because she didn't fucking care.
Oh, of course. I was like, this is straight out of Carrie.
Mhm.
And then and it's funny because, I almost felt like it was a little bit of a reference to Carrie, because in Carrie they use pig blood. And in this show, she she like licks her finger and she's like, it's not even pig blood, it's just paint.
Yeah,
So I thought like, you're going to do the Carrie scene, give a nod to Carrie, because that's where you got the idea,
yeah,
essentially.
100.
um, but yeah, so then we get the amazing self choreographed dance
Yeah,
that she does. And she gives several nods to old characters. She gives nods to the 60s Wednesday. But yeah, that dance scene was incredible. when she like gets behind him and taps him on the shoulder, and like I was like, that was like the turning point. That's like when I think I found one of your Wednesday posts and I was like, the dance scene is amazing. Like
Mhm.
that sold me on it. If there was any reservation I had, I was like, this is perfect. But yeah, so that, and then she just basically watched a bunch of clips from 80s goth dance clubs and then took all the dances that they were doing at that time and then put them together in this dance sequence, and that was really cool too.
Yeah, and she made those dances looked good because back then that shit was like I saw some of the original videos that she like referenced because
Hmm.
I went to go follow her on Instagram
Hmm.
immediately after, and she like posted some of the references on her Instagram story, and I saw it and I was like, you really made that work because in these videos that's fucking hard to watch.
Yeah, it's really cringe to look at those videos.
Exactly. And I loved the dress. I was getting like kind of like fairy godmother vibes from
Hmm.
Thing. I
Yeah,
thought that was
definitely.
really fucking cute how Thing got her the dress and the
Hmm.
dress was so good and oh, I don't know, I loved it. And then the song was great. And as she's dancing, everyone's like seeing her dance and everyone's like surprised she even showed up. But then
Hmm.
they see her dance and they're like, we gotta go dance too. Reminded me of the cello scene in the first episode. Everyone's like mesmerized, you know?
Hmm. Yeah,
Mhm.
but yeah, that fairy godmother thing, yeah, she seemed like the fairy godmother, the birds, every part of Cinderella where they all come together to make Cinderella's dress happen.
Mhm.
And again, her interaction where she, like, Tyler shows up with his dumb face and he's like, oh, I got this delicious note from you, or whatever dumb shit he says. And she turns around and she goes up to Thing and she's like, sweet and honest and cute. And he's just like, he kind of like recoils and he's like, my bad. Like, we
Yeah.
both know it's there. So it's a matter of time. But,
Yeah.
and how dumb of him to think that that was her. Like,
Yeah.
she has given no sign that that is in her whatsoever, and yet he's like, this is clearly from her. I can just, I know, like, whatever, idiot.
And she almost goes to the dance with Xavier
Hmm.
because he catches her in his studio.
Hmm.
Because he's just like very sus because he's just always around.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know, like part of me that whole time I was like, maybe there is something there because like she knew him, when they were kids and stuff. I was
Hmm.
like, there is something there. I liked him better than Tyler for
Yeah.
sure. But
I mean, it was kind of like a bowl of shit staring in a mirror, because like they're both whiny little emo kids,
yeah.
but I feel like I felt like Xavier was more honest about it and he was more like forthcoming, and just I felt like he cared. Like you could see that he cared. Tyler just seemed like he was going through emotion, which in the end you find out that he was,
Mhm.
but at this point we don't know that. So it just seemed like the only reason she didn't go with Xavier is because she suspects that he's the monster,
Yeah.
and that's the only thing keeping them from being together. But you still, I agree, I would have still rather seen that them go together, but that's not the way the story was written. So
Yeah. And then, I didn't cry in this episode, but I got teared up because like Eugene fucking shows up because they have
uh,
plans to hang out and they're gonna go stake out the cave.
yeah.
And then and he's already tried to go to the dance with Enid and he was feeling
Hmm.
like shit. And then Wednesday was like, well, fuck the dance, we'll go to the cave. And then so he gets rejected again.
Hmm. Yeah.
And he goes to the fucking cave anyways.
Hmm.
And like after rewatching it, you see Miss Thornhill, Christina
Hmm.
Ricci, you see her like pop in and out of the dance, and then you realize like, okay, this bitch is like leaving to go to the cave the whole
Hmm.
Um, and then, you know, she like has the vision and she tries to save him. And the episode ends and you think he's fucking dead.
This
It's
would
like,
only be better if you were actually crying right now. Like I said, I knew immediately she was going to be the bad guy. I didn't know how, and I didn't know who the monster was, but I thought it was funny that her and Tyler were so friendly. When she go like when Wednesday goes to get the punch, she looks back and they're just gabbing away. And I go to the same gas station every day, and I don't have conversations like that with the person that is behind the counter.
yeah,
So they were like overly friendly with their conversation. And that's when I was kind of like, maybe he has something to do with it. Because they did a good job of pretty much the entire series convincing or me at least, and Wednesday for the most part, that Xavier is the monster.
yeah,
Um, so, but that's at that point, that's kind of when I was like, they're a little friendly to just be, customer barista relationship or whatever. So,
yeah.
uh,
And when I'm jumping back to episode one, but when Rowan dies and she's like trying to save him, Tyler was just with her, and then the fucking monster shows up, and it's like,
mhm,
why did you not think it was Tyler?
mhm.
Uh, Just weird.
Yeah, there's a lot of suspicious things, but they smartly twisted a lot of those things where like the monster show well later. I don't know if it's in the next episode or the one after that, but when the monster attacks Tyler,
Mhm.
um they smartly twisted onto Xavier's character.
Yeah.
And because if Xavier hadn't shown up in that moment, you would be like, oh, Tyler did it to himself. But because Xavier shows up, then you're like, oh, yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Like it's just leading you down the, Xavier's the monster rabbit hole further. But um, yeah, that's episode 4 was it's my favorite episode. I mean,
Yeah.
outside of episode 1, episode 4 is like where it's at for me.
Oh yeah, same. I just Eugene really fucked me up. I at that point, like I had gotten home from work, I immediately like the first time I watched it, I immediately turned it on, started watching it, and I was like, ended episode four, and I was like, I'm gonna stay up all night watching this.
Yeah, same thing. I got through um that episode and I was like, all right, one more. And I watched that one. And then I even made a comment because I had posted about how like good the show was so far. And my friend was like, yeah, 6, 7, and 8 really take off. And I was like, fuck. All right. Well, and so I just finished it off right then. I think it was like at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was like, I gotta be up in an hour for work. So let me
Yeah.
just take a nap real quick. So I stopped making notes after 4 because I was like, what else is there? Like after the show could have ended right there and I would have been satisfied. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll let you lead the rest of this because I have to read and I don't do that good. So
Okay, that's fine. So episode five, I was really just fucking relieved to find out that Eugene wasn't fucking dead. Um, and then we have like parents' weekend, um, and you see kind of like Bianca, her character develops a little bit more, and I thought that was pretty interesting.
mhm.
Enid and her family drama because she hasn't transitioned, she's kind of a late bloomer. Um, I thought that was interesting, and then so you don't see Ajax's parents, which would have been really cool because I really want to know what the fuck is up with like the Medusa, like what is going. I need to know way more than that, like way more about them. And what else? Oh, so I had a thought about like Xavier's dad, and I was like, I'd love to see him next season, but I'd love to see him played by David Blaine, and I don't know why.
That would be funny. Immediately when they were discussing in previous episodes his dad, Um, I don't know why, but Elon Musk came to my mind. Like, I don't know why, but for some reason, because I think he's referred to as like an eccentric and extremely wealthy. So like those two things just went Elon Musk. Like he owns Twitter. Like that's the thing. Like, but yeah, the David Blaine would be way better. Yeah. Or
Yeah.
just find Chris Angel in whatever hotel he lives in and
Oh
ask
God.
him if he needs a job. But so yeah, the whole murder thing.
Yeah.
Cause like essentially Wednesday and the beef with her mom comes to a head. We find out the story of Gomez's supposed murder.
Yeah. I loved I loved his monologue when he's arrested and in jail. Oh, but before that, like the only reason why that comes to light again is because the coroner's murdered. In the previous episode, I forget which one, like she breaks into that
Mhm,
office. And so the sheriff's already like, why the fuck was there black bubble gum? Shouldn't you wonder who chews that bubble gum?
mhm.
It's the fucking cover up. The coroner just got murdered. Gomez. So he gets fucking arrested for a really old murder back in the day, and I loved seeing them young. That was really cool. And I feel like they were alluding to because in the first episode with Principal Weems, it seemed like they were all just really good friends from back in the day. And then in this episode, you kind of see that like I don't know if it was actually said out loud, but it kind of seemed that like she was really jealous of Morticia. He had a thing for Gomez.
Mhm.
Um,
See, in episode one, I didn't get the feeling that they were friends.
oh, really?
I didn't get the feeling that I felt like in episode one, I felt like the only reason she did that is because this she let Wednesday in is because Morticia was a legacy
Yeah,
and she was like so popular. And I felt like there was this like not love triangle, but there was something there that was more than what meets the eye because she even if I remember correctly, she kind of takes like a backhanded shot at Morticia, and Morticia gives one back
hmm,
in that meeting where they're all like dropping Wednesday off. And then you see it more because like she rips out the page that has
yeah,
Morticia's picture on it and Gomez is still there basically.
yeah,
Um
yeah. That was wild. I would have loved to see more of that that love triangle from back in the day.
mhm,
Maybe we'll see that in the next season. I don't know, but
yeah.
I don't know. I thought that like she definitely liked Wednesday. Like that's what I thought when she was taking her to the therapy session, and I was like,
Mhm.
okay, like she kind of enjoys her, likes her a little bit. But once I got to this episode, and plus Wednesday keeps getting in trouble
Mhm.
and causing problems for the school, she's definitely not a fan of Wednesday anymore after that. I don't know. It was
That's weird that that was your takeaway because mine was like almost the opposite. I felt like because she didn't like Morticia, she immediately didn't like Wednesday. And slowly but surely, she was coming around to Wednesday. Like she was still trying to do her job and put her foot down. But there was a lot of times where she was like, especially later when she's like, don't leave the school. And then she leaves the school and she comes back and she's like, all right, don't do it again. Basically,
yeah,
like just keeps like, all right, well, this is the last time, basically.
yeah,
And so I felt like it was almost the opposite of you, because I felt like she was kind of gaining appreciation for Wednesday slowly but surely, even as aggravating as Wednesday was to her.
yeah. I don't know why I got that vibe from Principal Weems. I think maybe it was just because I really liked her, so I was like, she loves Wednesday, even though she's like kind of made out to be a red herring when she's shape shifting out of
Mm-hmm.
you know Rowan's appearance. But I was just like, nah, she loves her because I
I,
love her and I love Wednesday. So that's probably why.
That brings one thing to mind. I wonder who the person that she shapeshifts again into is.
Yeah,
Like, why that person? Like, who is that person?
we've seen him before. Like he's an actor in other things, right?
Yeah, I want to say yes, but I wonder if maybe like she's I don't know. I imagine he's it doesn't make any sense. Like either he's like the male version of her or like that's an ex-boyfriend or somebody she bumped into somewhere or something. Like I could
Yeah.
understand if she had like bumped into him in the train station as Rowan and then transformed, but we don't even see him. So that choice of character was odd, unless it was just because white, blonde hair, tall.
Mhm.
It was supposed to like kind of like hint maybe that that's the headmaster,
Mhm.
but I
Who
don't know.
knows? Who know? Like she's leaving the men's bathroom, so it makes sense that it's got to be a dude. But I wonder if we'll see that guy again because like that person that they got to do that to like fill in for that, like I've seen him in other things, so it's like I just maybe we'll see him again.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if we don't, it's okay. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I feel like this show didn't do anything out of coincidence. So
Oh, for sure.
I feel like every choice that they made was strategical or there was a point to it. So
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
anything else on episode 5? I mean, out like see, we're kind of doing it again with the or doing exactly what I thought I was going to do. Like this was cool because there's like so much plot line in this that like I'm breezing right over. Like the
Mhm.
whole like finding out the Gates family has a little sister that went to Europe. Gates was poisoned and gets, Gomez off. All these things where I'm just completely ignoring, like the plot line I'm ignoring, and I'm just like, the show's good.
It's really good. But yeah, we should probably talk about like what happened with Garrett Gates and like how he just poisoned himself because his dad was like a bigot and was a descendant of Joseph Crackstone.
Yeah, he didn't poison himself. It was an accident.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it wasn't like on purpose, but it was an
right.
accidental poisoning.
Yeah, so he was there to do the family's dirty work essentially and try to get rid of Nevermore. Um, which I still don't know how Goody relates to Nevermore because they never explain that like she was a founder of Nevermore or she attended Nevermore or anything like that.
Mhm.
So why they took aim at them, maybe it's just because Gomez Adams was at the school. They took, because it doesn't make sense that the Gates fam like or the Crackstone family, which that name is so dumb.
I
It's
hate it.
it was like really you couldn't come up with like a cooler family name than Crackstone, but
Yeah.
whatever. It doesn't.
Think of crack rocks.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and they're all pretty much Christian crackheads, so it
Yeah.
it works, I guess. But like, why the dad sent him to poison the school when only Gomez was the issue with the Gates family? Like,
Yeah.
why is the whole school being punished? So that whole part didn't really make sense to me, but
So when they go to the Gates house and they see this like hidden room,
mm,
it's like an altar for Crackstone.
yeah.
That kind of like paints a picture. It's like weird that they're like sucking this dude's dick that much that they have
Yeah.
a secret room for him, and then they just decide to like, you know, kill the whole school and everything because of the fact that like it was weird because of Garrett had been like stalking Morticia
Hmm.
because I guess he was just like jonesing for her. But then he is just he's like, nah, I'm gonna kill the whole school, even though like, you know, I'm trying to holler at that. But I guess it wasn't like in a way that he actually liked her. He was just being like predatory. Yeah, I don't, that whole thing was a little bit kind of convoluted in the moment, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that was like the only murky thing where like things didn't quite translate for me, because like if he's like going after Morticia, Gomez is in the way, but Garrett's dad sends him to poison the school.
Hmm.
So the dad has beef with the school, he has beef with Gomez over Morticia, but why punish the whole school and not just Gomez? Because the Adams is the only real issue with the Crackstone family. Like, they
Yeah.
didn't flat out say like screw the school, because the school didn't exist back then. They just said get the Adams, like the
Hmm.
lineage of Goody. So why take out the whole school when you're just trying to get this one person?
Yeah.
Like, you're trying to stop this family lineage for whatever dumb reason.
Hmm.
So that whole thing was a little muddy to me, but seeing it all play out and like get the full story, and then you see like Wednesday and Morticia dig up the grave together, even though Morticia was being a lazy asshole and like
Yeah.
literally looked at her nails and was like, no, why don't you do it? I think you're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, you know, she could have like stayed, you know, pretty and everything and just like had a shovel, you know,
Yeah,
like leaned
yeah,
on and at least like pretended like she was like doing
yeah,
fucking
because
something.
that's what Angelica Houston would have done.
Yes.
She would have been in the hole just holding the shovel or like scraping dirt or something to at least be there.
Yeah. And you know, you come to find out in this episode too that Morticia was the one that killed Garrett. Gomez like was intensely loyal in that moment and was like, just get the fuck out of here.
Hmm.
I, I feel like that's kind of when you see like their romance like really take a turn. It's
Hmm.
like, okay, so they're ride or die like forever. That was really fucking cool to see. And I don't know, I just like so in my mind with the Crackstone and Goody Adams, like Crackstone thinks that Goody Adams is like evil because she was like an outcast and shit like that. So he has this thing against outcasts and like wants to eradicate them because he sends her into like this house where they're all kept or whatever. And then she ends up like killing him and then I guess she like starts in my mind it would make sense if she like helped to like found the school, but then she's not acknowledged at all, Edgar.
Right, right. They never say she attended the school, founded the school, anything. So why does this family have it against this school and not just the Adams? But
Yeah, that would be amazing.
yeah,
Because
because
they could have made this season like a little bit longer in my mind, and that would have like made things a little bit smoother because these last, you know, 5 through 8 episodes, like they're just really like crammed, I feel like
hmm.
so much. I'm not mad about it, but I feel like they could have added like 2 more episodes and it would have been like a little more.
So not to continuously compare them to Stranger Things, but Stranger Things just was like, all right, this episode is 40 minutes. This episode's an hour and a half. Like, we need an hour and a half to tell this story, so we're going to do it. Like, they just this didn't do that. Like, they could have made these episodes longer and just like one, like, because the last episode of Stranger Things was an hour, almost 2 hours long.
Yeah.
And it's like, just do that. If you need, like, don't smush it all in there because you got an 8 episode deal. Like, just take just go. Just take the length of time that it's going to take to tell this episode.
Yeah.
Like, nobody minds because everybody was in all of Stranger Things and how long the episodes were, and they enjoyed how well the story was told through how long the episodes were. So take that cue and do that with this, because there's tons of things shoved in these last 3 episodes, and or the last 4 episodes really, and it feels like they were almost rushing to get to the end.
Mhm.
And then it also felt like they ran out of shit in the last like 10 minutes of the show, and they were like, fuck it, have Xavier give her a phone. And like at the last 10 minutes of the season, I was like, this is how it's going to end right now. Like, fuck,
Yeah.
man. Like,
Yeah. Um, but also to compare this show to Stranger Things, this show like broke a record for Netflix for like it has the most views in the first week of airing. And I was
yeah, that's probably all on you.
yeah.
Like, as much as you talked about this show, like every three posts on my Facebook was you, like, this show's great, here's a picture of Wednesday, here's a clip from the show. Like, so you probably single-handedly, Netflix should pay you.
Yeah, I don't know what it did something to my brain where I was like it was just so many happy chemicals that I just couldn't let it go.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely like rubbed off on me too. I went into it kind of like, hmm. And then by like episode 4, I was like episode 1, I was like, "Man, okay." And then by episode 4, I was like, fuck yeah, let's go, let's see what else is next. But I mean, the show's just really well done. So episode 6.
Yeah.
Let's
This one in
see.
particular, I didn't like give myself enough space on the page for writing. So it's like it's just very chaotic in this little section.
Let's see.
Um she, I feel so she starts off the episode trying to do a seance for Goody, right?
Hmm.
As far as I remember, that's what happens
Yeah.
because in the last episode, her mom tells her that she's a raven.
Hmm.
She's got the darker side, and I thought that was really fucking cool. I was like, um, and so she's like trying to contact Goody to like figure this shit out more, and then it ends up being her birthday,
Hmm.
and she's a Capricorn, which
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting. Which that might mean nothing to you, and doesn't
Yeah.
mean much to me, but I find it a fun, quirky thing. So
Well, you're gonna have to elaborate because it does mean absolutely nothing to me. So like, what's the deal? Like, spill the
So
beans.
I would have assumed that she was like a Scorpio, and that sign is like more of just like dead inside.
Oh, okay.
But Capricorns are like, they're kind of like similar to that, but they're like an earth sign, so they're really grounded and they're very, what's the word, ambitious in a way. And they're also like, they're like little emoji, for lack of a better phrase, is a sea goat. So it's like half sea, half like mermaid or something weird. But it's I don't know. It's pretty interesting. I'm I have some Capricorn in my chart, so
Okay, that's what I was expecting you to be like. I'm Capricorn, so that was awesome.
yeah.
uh
But yeah, and I posted on Facebook. I was like, wait, so she starts in the middle of the semester. What the fuck is her sign then? And then thank God to the good people of Facebook. Appreciate them. Shout out. Um, because they did all the math, and because I tried to Google it, but I couldn't find it, and they Googled it and had no problem. But yeah, Friday the 13th, to the year 2006 is her birth year, which is fucking crazy. But yeah, and then the birthday thing
yeah,
I thought was like really cute.
yeah, it was.
Even Bianca's there, and it's like, damn, all right, cool.
Pretty much all the nightshades show up at the birthday party. That that was really cool. I enjoyed seeing that. And the cake was cute. And then for whatever reason, it's like, and I put a red balloon because that's like, okay, that has nothing to do with nothing. This isn't it.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
um
that was just really cute. And then she sees the fire will rain in the
mhm,
crypt,
mhm,
and that was burned into the lawn, right? Did
mhm.
that happen? Yeah, that happened.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what caught her attention, was the fact that it was burned into the lawn.
Mhm. Yeah, that was pretty interesting. And then I forget what she sees in this vision, but I feel like it may just be a conversation she's having with Goody about like, hey, yeah, you're a raven. You're gonna end up alone because
Hmm.
you're only gonna see the dark side to everyone around you.
Hmm.
So have fun with that. Good luck, bitch. Like,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
really like
basically.
tells her,
Well, so in that conversation with Goody, Goody is the one that basically says like, "Go find the Gates mansion,"
yeah,
um,
yeah.
and then that's when she finds the body parts and stuff like that. So that sets that whole chain of events off, and then obviously that's when we see super suspect Xavier show up at the last second during the attack again.
Yeah.
Um,
And I guess that's because like she goes to him and is like she has the sketch of the gates and she's like,
uh,
do you know what this is? Because you have all these really weird fucking paintings anyways
right.
about the monster, so like maybe you know what the fuck this is because I
Hmm.
guess he's like psychic through like his art.
Yeah.
Um which she doesn't think that that's what that is. She thinks it's because he's
Right.
but so the whole time like when he shows up, like I knew that. I was like it's because like he already knew you were going to go there.
Hmm.
And I just felt so bad for Enid and a little for Tyler because she's like, we can go on a date to the Gates mansion. And then she tells Enid, she's like, do you want to do like a girls' night? Sorry,
Yeah.
what happened for my party. And then she just like almost gets Enid fucking killed. And she's
Hmm.
like really stressed out. And like, it's like night and day because like Wednesday's just like, yeah, whatever, just another Tuesday night, just investigating some crazy shit, dead body parts, cool. And then Enid's like, what the fuck? Like Enid's having a normal reaction.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like so used to seeing Wednesday just being like, cool.
Yeah. This is like the we see a side of Wednesday that I love everything about her character except for in this episode. She essentially just disses the birthday party,
Yeah.
and then she manipulates both of Tyler and Enid, like you said, to get them to do what she needs them to do. And then Tyler gets hurt, and Enid's like, fuck you. And Wednesday's still just like, "Meh." And that part of her character, it like, I was like, ugh, I'm not a fan of this part of Wednesday right now.
Yeah.
Luckily, it seems like it doesn't last, and she kind of learns her lesson. But there's like that great, like almost breakup thing where Enid leaves to go stay at Yoko's, and then she keeps coming back for things to like
Yeah.
see, like it's like when somebody's very mad at you and then like you propose a question to see if they'll answer or how mad they are at you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so but we all know manipulative people that do
Mhm.
shit like that, so seeing that in her character was like, ooh, I don't really like that.
Yeah, it was tough to watch because it's like, what Goody told her is like coming true.
Hmm.
And she's definitely learning a really rough lesson. It's like
Hmm.
it's not, your actions have consequences and what you do affects other people that you
Hmm.
care about, even though you don't want to outwardly admit you
Hmm.
care about anybody.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was like a really big like character development moment.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it was really important, um,
Mhm.
especially because like every time Enid shows back up to the dorm room, you can see Wednesday giving a little bit more, like starting to break the shell a little bit more. At first, she's just like, "No, I haven't seen your stupid nail polish," and then she comes back again, and she's like, "You keep coming here." Like then she starts like,
Mhm.
instead of brushing it off, she starts like, okay, well, you're here. I'm going to talk to you. And then I'm going to
Yeah.
talk to you some more. And luckily that resolves, because I was wondering if like that was going to be the end of it. She's
Yeah.
like, if that's the way it's got to be, then okay, but at the same time, I kind of like having these people around me, so maybe there's like an in between or something. um
Yeah, I definitely could relate to Enid's character when she kept coming back. Because, like, I've gotten into plenty of, like, cat fights with, like, my friends in high school, like that. But then I would always, like, make little excuses, just be like,
mhm.
let some time, let things cool down for a little bit, and, like, hey, or, like, pass a note.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, I loved that, she didn't, like, fully let go. It would have made sense for her to just be like, "No, I fucking deserve way like, I'm an amazing." Yeah, "I bought you a snood for your birthday." A snood, damn it. I just set a huge trend for the rest of the world. Everyone's gotta be wearing snoods, and I am the reason why.
Yeah, the snoot thing is hilarious because she like tries to play it off like I lost it, and she's like, no, Bianca returned it, you just left it here. And she's like,
Yeah.
and then you see her in the car in it, and she's just like got her like grumpy face like god damn it.
Yeah, that was really cute, and obviously it had to be black.
Yeah.
It was just cute how they both had their own thing going on. I loved how different their rooms were.
Mhm.
Or their room was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when she peeled all the colors off the window and they're standing there like facing each other, and you
Yeah.
have that like side view and it's just black on this side and all that color and like black hair, blonde hair, like I was just like that is a great, that says everything that you need to know like
Yeah.
about these characters. And it was a wonderful shot too, like the shot itself.
Yeah.
I actually, when I was trying to find a picture to use for the background, I
Mhm.
was looking for that one and I couldn't find one that was like a large enough image file to not be distorted when I put it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like that shot. But also speaking of Enid, the one thing that I didn't mention back in the parents episode, I love her dad. Her dad is great, and he's just completely quiet and he's just letting her go and run her mouth. And at one point I just felt like he was going to be like, ah, shut up. Like I just felt that energy from him where like he's like this beaten down dude with this like super strong woman that's like, you need to do this, and then he's just like, sweetie, do whatever you need to do,
Yeah.
basically. And that I was like, fuck yeah, man. Like I'm
Yeah.
so glad.
He was proud of her for standing up to her mom. Like, you do you, which is such like a younger person thing to say. I love that he said it because it's not like a cringe phrase for like an
Right.
old person to say. So I was
Yeah.
like, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. He would have went up to her and been like, YOLO or something. Then like
That would fucking suck so bad. Oh my god.
that would have been hilarious.
Yeah, I know.
Let's see. So the mayor gets attacked in this episode. Um
Yeah.
and he ends up dying, and we see that, we find out that Cadillac, I guess, or whatever it is at the Gates mansion, which, we basically find out that the mayor is investigating the same thing, or is on to the same basic lead that Wednesday is on to.
Yeah, because the lights keep coming on, and he
Mhm.
keeps hearing like weird complaints about it.
He got too close and he died.
Yeah. Yeah, the mayor dies. Yeah, that's all I have.
Oh, okay.
He he died, and that sucked because it was like he had an interesting character arc because he's like the mayor and he's like doing all this stuff for Pilgrim World, which is like weirdly ironic because like he's black but like pilgrims are like colonizers and
Hmm.
just inherently racist.
Yeah.
It was just this weird dynamic going on, and then you know, it's revealed. Did we talk about this? I don't know if we did, but it's revealed in, I guess, the parents episode that he was like cool with the Gates dad, and he like protected him,
Hmm.
covered for him and stuff. But then he realizes that he can't cover for him anymore,
Hmm.
and he was like, um, he gets Gomez out of jail, and then you see him like start to investigate, like, okay, so that wasn't what I thought it was. Maybe there's something here about, what happened to the daughter when she went to England,
Hmm.
and he gets the file on it, and then he goes to the mansion. He, obviously figures out someone's fucking living in there, and then he fucking dies. And that
Yeah.
really fucking sucked. You know?
Yeah, at this point, when he pulls that picture out of that file and he's looking at the Gates family, again, knowing Christina Ricci had something to do with it, just didn't know how she fit into it. The fact that the little girl was blonde kept pointing me towards the therapist. Like, I was like, oh, well, and it's just like stupid, like, oh, blonde to blonde, it must be her. Like, it's very like simple reasoning, but like, for
Yeah.
whatever reason, and maybe I think maybe that's kind of what they were trying to do. Like, it was like this, a subtle suggestion that they're both blonde, because it there was several scenes in the show where they would talk about the daughter, and then in the next scene the therapist would be in that scene, and a grown blonde woman. So I think that was their point. But that character hit Mayor Walker, I didn't like him. I didn't like him start to finish. It's interesting that, like, even like you were like coming around on his character, as far as like, because his arc was changing. He was kind of almost, after being essentially blackmailed by the Adams family, he was like starting to take like proper course of action.
Yeah.
But it, to me, like from the very beginning, where he's just like the conversation that he had with the sheriff on the outreach day or whatever, that I was like, ew, like, no, I don't like you. And everything from there, where he would like lay on the sheriff, he would like lean on the sheriff and be like, just do what you're supposed to do. Like, we're both hiding something,
Mhm.
so don't forget that. Basically, I was just like, no, I don't like you. I was watching and he gets hit by the car, and I was like, oh
Yeah.
well. Like, that's basically like where my head was at. I was like, well, you probably deserved it. So
Yeah. I did feel bad though, because you kind of see Lucas also start to have his son like have like a character arc, and
mhm.
all the characters have arcs, but like
Yeah.
his character starts to transform in a like redeeming way. Damn, dad's dead. And then the next episode for the fucking funeral, no one has fucking umbrellas except for Wednesday or and a couple other people, but like him specifically and his mom, they're sitting front row, no umbrellas. Really? Why? Sorry, I
That
just
just really drives the emotion home. In the first episode, when the sheriff is standing there and the deputy is talking to him, and she's talking and like she keeps blinking because rain is directly falling on her face, I'm just like, dude, why didn't they give like an umbrella or a raincoat or poncho or something?
yeah.
Like a poncho that said sheriff. If you're worried that we're not going to realize they're sheriffs, then make it super, like, yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call it now. I bet you Lucas is the bad guy for next season.
I was gonna say that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's
Like,
got a vendetta against Wednesday now because of her investigation, his dad's dad.
yeah. Even though I think, well, I guess I'll just wait until we get to the next episode.
Okay. All right. Anything else for episode 6?
Um, her painting that Xavier does.
Mm-hmm. Looks nothing like her. Yeah, I thought that too.
Yeah, it doesn't look
No,
anything.
it doesn't. No.
I thought it was really cute, and then again, like Thing finds it. He's really like Thing is really her fairy godmother.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was funny that he was just like he snaps and he's like, look at this weird shit. Like just like rips the shit off. And then it's like she walks over to it with like these big eyes and she's like, and like in my mind I was laughing because I was like she's walking over to it with the big eyes and I'm like, yeah, I wonder who that is too, because it fucking ain't you. Like I don't know who painted that like and I don't know if you know Andy. Andy painted a picture of Wednesday from the show, and it looks exactly like
Yeah,
Wednesday. And I'm
yeah,
like, so it's not hard. There, the ability is out there. Like, and he drew the jackal exact. So, or the hide or whatever. So why didn't he get, especially with his obsession and like fascination with Wednesday, he just got this like, dude, all right, whatever, that's like Wednesday's cousin or something. Like that,
yeah.
that didn't look like her.
Yeah, I love how like these two potential love interests, I guess, are like pining over her and she just like doesn't know how to respond. And then
Hmm.
in one of the episodes, Tyler's like, "Are you ghosting me?" And she just like fucking just doesn't fucking say anything. And I'm
Yeah.
like, go you. Like, I don't care about like, whoever she ends up with. I really don't mind. I have no preference either way. I've seen a lot of like um theories about like her and Enid being gay together, and that's cool. Whatever happens, happens. But I could also see her being asexual or
Hmm.
aromantic and like, you know, that community like they still have like romantic relationships, I
Hmm.
guess,
Hmm.
that are healthy. So it would just be interesting to like see the representation of like an asexual character.
Yeah, the idea of Wednesday being asexual would be the best choice, I think.
Yeah, it would make sense. And like I said before, the people in that community, like, they can still have relationships and it's
Hmm.
still, it's not something that's like they don't do or anything like that. So it would
Right.
be interesting to see.
But it also plays towards her being the raven or whatever.
Yeah, and she doesn't like, you don't really see her like hugging too much.
No, and that's one of my favorite things about her is her mannerisms, because every time Enid went for a hug, she stepped back.
Yeah.
And I loved like the choreography or the synchronicity of as soon as she stepped forward, she was stepping back. It was
Yeah.
like instinctive to just no, get away. And I loved every single time Enid tried to give her a hug and she would step back. And Enid's just bubbly, happy go lucky, like not offended, not hurt by it, just like, okay, like that's totally cool, whatever, you know.
Exactly.
You got anything else for six?
Um, the morning song bracelet. Did we talk about it? Because I thought that was just interesting.
No.
Because Lucas has the morning song bracelet,
Hmm.
and that was Bianca's mom's company.
Cult, yeah.
Yeah, cult. Yeah. So I thought that was just really interesting how they're just like, just an interesting subplot. I don't really have much more to say other than that it's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. That's a good thing to bring up. I was totally going to pass right over top of that.
And then just, and we can probably move on after this, but because it's the very end of the episode when she's looking, she has the jewelry box and she's like looking at it and she's like, annoyed or whatever with everything that's gone on and like, with the Gates house and everything. And then she sees the photos fall out of the bottom and they're
Hmm.
all photos of hers. So she knows that whoever's behind this is definitely watching her.
Hmm. And it's close too, because those
Yeah.
are like not intimate photos, but more intimate that somebody outside of Nevermore could get. Like
Yeah.
there are pictures of her playing the cello, there are pictures of her in her room. So she, whoever it is there. It's
Yeah.
somebody in the school that is the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point too. I was totally going to. I've like been dying to be like, okay, Fester, go. Like, Uncle Fester, go. Episode 7.
Episode 7. Fester is kind of like a device that like adds to that plot to like help her figure that out. That it's
Hmm. Yeah.
so. If anything, I mean, I guess it's good he was in this episode. 'Cause
I
I
didn't
just
even believe that. Watching you say that, I didn't even believe it.
like I Fred Armisen, whatever Armisen. I don't know how the fuck to say his last name. I
Armisen, yeah.
Yeah, he's okay. Like I don't have anything against him. I enjoyed him in SNL and
Hmm.
Portlandia, but and he could have played this character a lot fucking better. I don't know what it is about the family supporting characters, but I mean, besides Gomez, I think he did great. But everyone else was just kind of like, all right, do whatever you want. The show's not even about you anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of how little Lurch had to do in the show. Not that he was big in the original show or the movies, but he had more. And I guess it couldn't be because it wasn't surrounding the family life at home. So I
Mm-hmm.
get it, I guess, but I kind of wish he had more to do. Like they dress somebody up as Lurch, let him fucking do something.
Yeah, let him
Um,
like groan or moan or something.
yeah, yeah. Um, so Fester, I had no idea that Fred Armisen was in this show,
Me neither.
but
They
the
kept that from us.
yeah, but the second he showed up, I was like, that's fucking Fred Armisen. And I even posted on Facebook, I was like, you can put all the makeup you want on Fred Armisen, and he still looks like Fred Armisen. Because Fred Armisen looks like this is as big as you need to see Fred Armisen for you to be like, that's him. Because he, like, even though they rounded out his face and bald his head, it just looks exactly like him. And uh, I think he did an okay job as Fester as far as like the the happy playfulness of Fester, because well, nobody's going to touch Christopher Lloyd for me.
No one.
Right.
No.
But since Christopher Lloyd is like 90 some years old and probably not interested in playing Fester again, um, even though he does love that character, uh, I think the positive was Fred Armisen took like a playful nature that Fester had, and he tried, I guess is the easiest way to say it. Like he tried. I don't know why they gave him fucking Mortal Kombat Raiden powers with the lightning.
Oh, yeah.
But again, that just goes to like the premonitions. Like why? The family had like powers all of a sudden, and they didn't. Like they were just a normal family, they were just on the other side of normal. Like they just saw normal different. And
Yeah.
now all of a sudden they have powers. And I was like, okay. And he doesn't even use them. So it was like outside of just doing the little hand thing. So,
Yeah. I mean, in the movies, I know Fester would do the thing with the light bulb.
mhm, yeah.
That's the only like parallel you can make. I don't know. I just really it was his voice that bothered me the most because it's like, why did you have to like make your voice so high? Like I guess he might have just normally like a high voice, but it's like you are like you've done skits, like you've know so many voices.
Mhm.
Why the fuck did you choose that one?
I just like I didn't like the voice. I fucking hated
I
it.
think I think he was just trying to make them like over the top playful, as where like there was moments with Christopher Lloyd's character that like he would be serious, and that was one thing that we didn't see from Armisen's Fester was it didn't matter the situation, there was no seriousness. It was
Yeah.
constant joking, there was no break in the happy-go-lucky character of like nothing matters, I'm just gonna be here for this 20 minutes or whatever. But
And I can appreciate that. Don't get me wrong.
right, but yeah, also Christopher Lloyd had a rough voice, and it was a lower register, and that's what we know as, that's our Fester, because that's our generation's Adams family.
Yeah.
So that was like the biggest change in any of the characters. Like they stayed pretty true. Everybody was pretty morbid except for whiny ass uh Pugsley.
Yeah.
Like that was the biggest change in dynamic and in character, was Fester. So that didn't sit well with me, but I mean he tried, whatever. It didn't work.
And he was only in one episode, thank
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
If he would have been in more episodes, like if he would have had a bigger part in this plot, I would have like not been happy.
What if season 2 is like Wednesday and Fester hit the road, starring Fred Armisen?
I mean, I don't know what I'm just gonna have to sit back and take it because I'm gonna watch the show no matter what. I'll just, try to block him out as much as I can, I guess.
Let's see what else. Yeah, so she accuses the therapist as being the Hyde's master, and then the therapist gets it,
Yeah.
which is good.
I also like how kind of through like the last few episodes, like since Eugene ended up in the hospital,
Mhm,
Wednesday continuously visits him
mhm,
and is like really fucking opening up to him
mhm.
because he's asleep.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's fucking it's weird. It's progress.
Mhm,
You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, so you're opening up to somebody. They might be asleep, but like you're doing something that's kind of a big deal.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think that the therapy has so much to deal with that. I think it's just more of like her, like especially again her and Enid's like little fallout. I
Yeah.
think it had mostly to do with that. But I did notice that she was going to the hospital and she was talking to him, and and I think even somebody points out, I think Christina Ricci points out in like her final little thing that like you like to pretend that you're this like stone of a person, but you kept going to the hospital to visit him.
Mhm.
And so maybe you're not as big and bad as you think you are, or something like that, but
Yeah.
or to that effect. But
Mm.
and then yeah, they arrest Xavier for being a Hyde.
Yeah, cause he's fucking framed really hard.
Hmm.
My
Well, he should be in jail for trying to pass that painting off as Wednesday. But yeah, he got friend. It was like somebody shot somebody and say, "Hey, can you hold this gun for me?" And then he just like takes it barehanded. Like that was the most framed framing I've ever seen. Like,
like in every single
yeah,
that's
yeah,
it's
yeah,
every piece of evidence is in that fucking studio.
yeah. The
And
only thing that could have made it more of like a frame job is if somebody deep faked him doing the murders. Like that's the only thing that could have been like more frame job of that. It's like here's glasses, here's this knife, here's everything from every like yeah, that was ridiculous.
yeah, yeah. One thing that I did like, even though I fucking hate Tyler, is he takes Wednesday on a date. And mind you, it is just a scam to get her out of the room
Mm-hmm.
so Thornhill can go, ransack the shit.
Mm-hmm.
But Legally Blonde, he's like, "Do you like scary movies?" And then he fucking turns that on and she's
Yeah.
like horrified by it. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah, that was really clever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then even she like at the end of it, she was like, "That was terrible. I loved it." Like that. Yeah, that was really. See, that's why I'm having a lot of fun talking about this because you're seeing like completely different things than me. Like we're seeing a lot of the same things, but you're picking up like that was like right over my head. Like in the moment, I was like, "Yeah, that was funny," but like that's not something I would have brought up.
Hmm.
So like that's good. I like that. let's see. Yeah, Legally Blonde is a fucking horrifying movie.
Yeah, it is. One time when I was at work and I was like having a really bad day and I was like, I wonder how I can make this worse in an ironic way to make it funny. And then I started listening to the Legally Blonde soundtrack and it made it a better day in like an ironic way.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, she gets back from the date and then Thing fucking is dead.
Hmm.
Brings Thing to Uncle Fester, and I guess his powers, kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, they serve their purpose technically. Even though like he shocks him like 13 times and he doesn't wake up, and then Wednesday starts to break down and is opens up again, and then all of a sudden he's like, all right, I was just fucking with you. I just wanted to see you like cry a little bit or something. Like he just wakes up and he's fine and like he's healed. Uh but yeah.
I love when she says, she's like, if you die, I will kill you.
Yeah.
It's just such a Wednesday thing to say, but she's also like so desperate because
Yeah. Yeah.
she loves Thing.
I think that line, like it fits her personality. That was the scene that kind of had me like, what? No, it's just a no. Wind got in my eyes. Dust in here.
Yeah, that was a tearjerker for me as well. So Enid moves back in though in
Mhm,
this because that's how she ends up back with Tyler because their
mhm,
little date gets broken up,
mhm.
and then she goes back, and then she saves Thing, and then she goes back again. So much happens. She saves Thing, goes back again. Enid moves back in, and then like Enid tells her, "Well, Tyler's working tonight. If you want to go and see him."
Mhm.
And then Wednesday is actually like, you know what? I'm gonna shoot my shot.
Yeah, yeah. So it's Enid's fault.
Yeah, it is. Blame Enid.
Yeah, that's why you don't get to be a werewolf, because you say stupid shit like "go see the boy."
Right?
But I also think that that's like another contrasting thing is like where Wednesday would that's not in Wednesday's like thought process.
Mhm.
That's how Enid is as a person, is like we see that example with her and Ajax in the weird taxidermy shop. Like we see her like be that romantic or like hopeless romantic type uh personality, and she like throws it out to Wednesday like this is what a normal person would think or do. And
Yeah,
Wednesday's like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And then it gets her stabbed in the stomach. But
I know,
um,
right? Ugh. Yeah. And also, can I just point out, when Enid and Ajax make out, like every time we see them doing it, they are such fucking teenagers about it. Like, it's a little awkward to watch. They're just like really all over each other, and it's just like that was some good acting right there.
or it wasn't acting at all because
Wasn't because maybe they're like, I guess we had a kiss on camera now.
yeah.
Um, Tyler's first kiss or Wednesday's first kiss,
Hmm.
get the vision that Tyler's the Hyde, and then
Hmm.
dips the fuck out. Yeah,
And then that's when she discovers the room is torn apart and
yeah,
she
yeah.
sees the music box with the pictures.
Mhm.
Where did that was her music box? No, that was the thing from the mansion, right?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like we're ready for the season finale.
So the final episode, episode 8.
Yep.
Everything drops in this episode.
Yes.
It all comes to a head.
Yeah. So yeah, Wednesday confronts Tyler. All of the sirens have her back on this.
Hmm.
And then she's, wants to torture him. But in my mind, the sirens are the ones, like, they convinced him to be like, you're coming with us, buddy, like
Hmm.
with their siren song. So why didn't they just be like, tell the truth, bitch?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you would think that unless for some reason hides aren't susceptible to that or something. I don't know, but well, that wouldn't make any sense because they were able to lure him there. But yeah, that would have made a lot more sense. But it also seemed like at that point, because she had had that kiss and she kind of like she kind of fell for him a little bit, like she gave in to that like social norm of like boy meets girl, girl meets boy kind of thing, that she was dead set on hurting him in some fashion anyways.
Yeah,
I feel like she,
I would have
whether
done
he would have mentioned that, like if he would have opened up and been like, yeah, it's me, fuck it, then she would have still been like, all right, let's break his kneecaps with this hammer. Like,
yeah.
so
Yeah, that's true. That's a really good point. If I were her, I would have done the same thing.
absolutely. Yeah.
Because fuck him, that's why. Um, Tyler's mom was an outcast,
Yeah.
and I think it would have been cool. I mean, obviously they only signed on for 8 episodes, so they wouldn't have been able to fit it in anywhere. But if they would have had a flashback,
Yeah.
um,
Something.
because they talk about the research that the founder did for the hides, but they
Hmm.
don't. I would just would have been cool to know a little bit more about.
Yeah. I think that that would have been, it would have been nice to have seen that because through the whole series, he references his mom, and every time he does, his dad's like, nah, shut up. So it would have been nice to see, give her some sort of screen time to explain why he is the way that he is about it and why Tyler is the way that he is about it.
Mhm.
Because obviously Sheriff fell for her, so he loved her at some in some way or at some point, but what she was got out of hand and we don't know what happened to her. We don't know if the sheriff ended up killing her or she just disappeared or the town burned her at the stake. Like we don't know what even happened. So that I feel like that was a big miss for this show to not add some of that.
Yeah. And they just say like, well, she was, bipolar,
Yeah.
whatever. I'm just like, leave bipolar people out of this. Leave them alone. But I get it. I mean, they have to kind of like, sidestep it somehow, or
Yeah.
keep his dad in denial a little bit, or
Yeah.
dark a little bit. But yeah, so she tries to fucking torture him, and it's so crazy to me because like when she's doing things that are like blatantly like socially unacceptable, I'm just like,
Hmm.
it's Wednesday's thing,
Hmm.
and everyone else is like, this is not okay, Wednesday.
Hmm.
The cops on you.
Yeah.
That was
Well,
just kind
that's where I think like a little bit of her young passion and anger was taking over
of, mhm,
because she knows right from wrong and she has no problem crossing the wrong boundary. We see that in the first episode. Like getting a dude's nut bit off by a piranha is like wrong, but
yeah,
she's okay with going there. But this seemed more like she didn't really, she knew he was the monster. She didn't expect him to confess. She was just gonna fuck him up for playing her.
yeah,
And that's the way it came off to me. And rightfully so. I get that.
yeah,
But yeah, it seemed more like teenage anger was brewing more than the rational Wednesday
oh, for
um,
sure.
in that scene.
Yeah, but everyone stops her, doesn't
Hmm.
let her have her fun, and they take her to the police station. And this part like really just like made me so mad because she's leaving to go back to the school, and then Tyler's like, "No, wait."
Hmm.
And he's being so fucking manipulative,
Hmm.
and then he's like, "It was me, bitch.
Hmm.
What you gonna do about it?"
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. And we know people like that too. So it hits home for everybody.
yeah.
And it also kind of touches on that like social commentary of like the woman says something and the male goes, nah, and everybody believes him. And then he's like, yeah, that's how this works. Like, I say it didn't happen, you say it did, and that's the end of it. And
No.
I'm going to go free, and you're going to have to deal with this shit. And it was like really subtle. Like Jordan Peele will like heavy hand that shit
Oh yeah.
and like shove it in your face, which is okay too, but they did it very subtly. Like I got that feeling from this scene too. And I was like, ooh, that just, there's like layers to it, because yeah, he's admitting to being the Hyde, but then there's also this other layer of it, and it's like it makes it dirtier, it makes it more aggravating,
Yeah.
because he's playing it like that guy too.
Yeah.
um
Damn. Good catch.
yeah, he definitely plays it like, my dad's a lawyer, I'm going to get off, so
Yeah.
whatever.
For sure.
um
For sure.
let's see, she visits Eugene in the hospital.
But before that,
Okay.
she's packing up to go.
Yeah.
She's like accepted because she goes to see Xavier and she's like, "You were right, my bad." And he's like, "The prophecy won't come true if you just fucking leave." And
Hmm.
she's like, "Damn, all right, I'm gonna leave then." And she's packing up, and Enid is in the room with her, and she is looking at like the taxidermy squirrel, and she's like, "I'm gonna miss looking at your cold, dead eyes." And she's the squirrel,
Yeah.
really talking to Wednesday.
Yeah.
That was so fucking cute.
Yeah.
It was so adorable. And Wednesday's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna miss you." She's like admits that she's gonna miss her. And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good scene too. I mean, they're, again, it's just their dynamic, like, and again, we see Wednesday growing more, as normally where she in the, if this was 4 or 5 episodes late earlier, she would just be like, whatever.
Mhm.
And she almost warms up to these people more than she does her own family.
Yeah.
Like that scene at the parents thing where she's like fishing with grenades with Pugsley, she
Mhm.
kind of opens up to him, and we see that that side is there, but she doesn't really do it with her parents, and she doesn't really even do it with Pugsley in an in-depth way, or it didn't feel as deep as when she did it with Enid, when she was like, yeah, I guess I'll miss you and your annoying music and your stupid texting and whatever.
Yeah.
But uh yeah, that's a really good scene.
Yeah. But yeah, Eugene.
Hmm. Yeah, you could exhale because Eugene survived.
Yeah, and he has two gay moms, which I
Yeah.
thought cool to have representation.
Hmm.
And I don't know, it was just interesting that he has two moms and he's like a bee, like his power has something to do with bees, and
Hmm.
like bees are very like matriarchal.
Hmm.
um I don't know, I just thought that was a cool like pattern or whatever.
We almost made it.
I, I'm so mad I cut you off when you were like, "There's gonna be gay people on this
Yeah.
show."
Yeah.
So yeah, but he wakes up finally and he remembers the red boots,
Hmm.
the iconic red boots, and then she goes to confront Miss Thornhill, and Tyler shows up, but it's really the principal the whole
Hmm.
time. Yeah, and then fucking Weems dies.
Yeah, how did that make you feel? Because I didn't care.
I was upset because I've just wanted to see like that relationship between them develop more, and I don't know, it was just kind of like she finally fucking proved to the person who really needed that proof
Hmm.
that she was right the whole time,
Hmm.
and then immediately that person dies. And I'm
Yeah.
like, damn it, it was a frustrating moment for me watching it.
Yeah, although I didn't really love that character, I definitely would have liked, because at the end of the show she says like the semester was canceled, like the rest of the semester was canceled. So it would have been nice to have seen her come back with her and see that relationship grow more. But
Mhm.
again, I think it just drives home that raven, you're a raven, like destruction is going to happen around you, people are going to die because of you. And it's drilling that into Wednesday's head.
Yeah,
So
that's
there's like this pool between like, can you have a normal life with like, your friends, or are you going to have to be this loner because of this gift essentially?
yeah.
Does she get stabbed after she confesses?
She gets taken to the crypt.
Yeah, okay, and then she
Stone
gets,
gets fucking resurrected.
yeah.
And it's like, I'm gonna kill all the outcasts, and she's like, not. She says something really like smart ass,
Hmm.
and she's like, "Girl, bye," and
Yeah.
fucking stabs her in the stomach, and then Christina, Miss Thornhill, uh, runs out after him, and she's like, "Good night, Wednesday."
Hmm.
And I thought that was just, I don't know, even though it was like not the best scene, it was like stressful scene. I thought it was cute that because she used to be Wednesday and she's
Hmm.
like, "Hi, Wednesday."
Yeah. I also, so this leads me to like when I was like, they ran out of shit and they just added that last 10 minutes. I think whoever wrote this show wrote it that Wednesday dies. And like, then when they took it to Netflix, Netflix was like, she dies? Fuck no. And they were like, shit, we got to write like another 20 minutes. Like, so that's how the rest of the show basically got done.
That makes
Because,
sense.
yeah, like, because it all leads up to that. And then it all leads, like, because there's no mention that Goody can heal her through like passing through her. There's no mention of anything with that type of power from Goody or Wednesday. And it's such a significant scene, it's such a hard-hitting scene, that I think that that's where the show was going to end.
Mhm.
And whether she recovered in the end, but I think that that's where the season was going to end. And Netflix was like, nope, you better figure something else out. And then they were like, ah, fuck it, she'll go fight him, and everything will be okay. But
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause Netflix, they wanted a season two.
mhm.
They want. I'm. That shit better happen.
Better happen.
Because
This all boils down to Heidi begging for season 2 from Netflix.
yep, like letters to Santa, except I'll be writing emails to Netflix explaining why there needs to be a season two.
So let's see. Wednesday gets healed by Goody, um, randomly. That's unexplained and doesn't
Yeah.
like. There's a one-time thing. Peace out. Like,
Never see me again. I'll
yeah,
never be here to guide you or help you
yeah,
again.
yeah, yeah.
Who knows if that's, even true because her mom says something about like, you'll have an ancestor, but like be careful.
Hmm.
Also, so like maybe she possesses her a little bit.
Hmm.
Maybe that's why she won't see her is because she's like sharing her body with her.
Yeah, when she went through her, I almost half expected her to show up with like a blonde streak in her hair and just like representing Goody is in her somehow.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't do that because that would have been so like campy that I would have like thrown up. But that's kind of where I figured that that was going to go.
Yeah. It could be for, good plot for season 2. Um the Nightshades uh meet up and they forge a plan,
Yeah,
and Enid finds out that literally everyone she fucking knows is in Nightshades.
that is such a cute scene too.
Yeah, she handles it really well because if it were me, I would have been fucking pissed. I would have been like, no, I'm going rogue. Y'all didn't want to invite me, so I'm gonna go look for Wednesday now. Bye. Like,
I mean, she still kind of does that.
yeah,
I
she does.
mean, she werewolves out finally and she takes on the hide, but everybody else is dealing with Crackstone at the school for the most part, and she's dealing with the hide. So, but yeah, her finding out was hilarious. Like she was just like, what is happening? Who are you? Why am I the only one that doesn't know? Like,
And then everyone snaps, and she's like, "There's even a snap too."
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was fucking hilarious. And then, yeah, there's a showdown with Crackstone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That went faster than I thought it was going to. I thought that they were going to drag that out longer, but it was pretty quick. It was like, you can't kill me. Yes, I can. Ugh. And I was like, oh, all right. So that's that.
Yeah. And then I didn't fully rewatch episode 8 yesterday. So it just got away from me. So
So what happens after that is basically what you're saying.
yeah.
Okay.
God, that's so bad, I know.
Yeah, I'm shocked by that because you've seen it like 12 times now.
I know.
Um,
I'm just like trying to remember because I'm like,
so Tyler gets basically he gets his legs whipped by Enid in
yeah,
monster form,
I
and
know.
then um
The sheriff kills him, right? He ends up killing his son.
uh yeah, I mean that's what you're led to believe at least.
Yeah,
um
in that moment.
yeah, and then they just let Xavier out. They were like, oops, my bad. And Tyler actually gets like he's not killed, but he's arrested basically.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, because I remember him being in the van, and then I just can't remember how Christina Ricci dies. That's the one thing.
oh, the bees eat her.
That's right. God damn
Yeah.
it. Yeah, we're
um
talking about Eugene. I've been
yeah.
up 3 in the morning, so my bad.
Nah, it's all good. uh yeah, so the bees sting her to death or something. And
Eugene, yeah.
yeah, that's like his big moment where he like saves the day, because at that point Crackstone's defeated, but she has a gun on Wednesday, and you think like, well, she already used her get out of free jail card, so if
Mhm.
Thornhill pulls the trigger, there's nothing that can be done at that point. So
Yeah, then she's fucked.
yeah, and then Eugene's like, no, bitch, bees. And
Yeah.
then
I loved that that was his power.
yeah, it was a little anticlimactic, but I'm glad that they gave that to him, because it could have very easily been any of the other uh kids in the school.
Yeah.
Like Ajax could have stoned her. The sirens could have sang, like, whispered or whatever to her. So like giving it to him was cool. It was like, he breaks out of the hospital and like tells his mom like, no, she's my friend, I gotta go save her. And then he does. Like he didn't, like, you almost expect that character to show up 5 minutes late after it's all said and done, and then he's like, I'm ready to go, and they're like, it's over. But
Yeah.
like he gets his dues and he gets his time. um and then yeah, they all just kind of, it just wraps up. They're leaving. Xavier gives her an iPhone, and then she's riding home and gets a text message saying from somebody saying that they're going to kill her.
Yeah.
um
The iPhone thing was weird, but I fucking loved that thing snatched that shit up and like went back in the purse and was like, I'm downloading TikTok. I mean,
yeah.
that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh shit. It's basic as fuck and I love it. So, and I just, I would have loved to see the parents pick her up,
Mhm.
but they didn't. She just rode back by herself.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah, for some, I don't know why I couldn't remember that Miss Thornhill died by the bees that I consistently kept talking about.
You even referenced her dying by bees like an hour ago. But then again, we've been talking about this for 3 hours. So
That's
it,
true.
it like we're at this point, the fact that we're not brain dead and drooling is impressive. So this is 8 hours of a TV show that we've talked about for 3. So it makes sense that our brains are going to be spotty, especially because the show has a lot going on in the show. Every episode is packed. So, except for like episode 2 and 3.
Yeah. This show was a lot like Target in that I feel it was designed to suck you in. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right.
Like its floor plan is designed
Yeah.
to the consumer.
Yeah.
It was just really good writing, and
Mm-hmm.
they executed it all very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still gonna say Lucas is the bad guy for next season.
Yes.
And
I can't imagine who else it would fucking be. And whoever texted her, like, her number got out real quick.
yeah, right?
Was it Xavier then? Like, fucking with her? No, couldn't be. Like,
Yeah.
you're trying to, like, open this up for, season 2 to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's what else could that be for?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is that's a good point because he gives her the phone, she gets in the car and then gets a text message from a random phone number. So it like who has that phone number? And he says like I programmed my phone number in there. So the fact that the number or that the message didn't say like Xavier on it,
True.
maybe he programmed other people's phone numbers in it as well, but even then their names would have popped up. So
True.
who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. So Tyler's just in the back of that fucking SWAT truck, armored truck, whatever the
Mm-hmm.
fuck. And then he turns into the Hyde, and
Mm-hmm.
it's safe to assume that he breaks out and escapes.
Mm-hmm.
And so that made me wonder if maybe he'll be back next season, but as a student, as like a we know
Yeah,
you
that's good.
a thing, but maybe you just need a welcoming spot, and I don't know.
Yeah, because in reality, that's his dad's fault. Because if his dad suspected this of him, he should have put him in there, even though the school didn't allow hides anymore because of whatever happened with his mom.
Mm-hmm.
His dad still should have done something proactive with Nevermore in him. So outside of like therapy. So it maybe they're like, all right, well, we're gonna bring him in and see how it goes. But
Yeah.
they're apparently notoriously unpredictable and violent. So
Yeah. And like what other choice does his dad really fucking have? Because he, just had him in the back of that fucking truck or whatever, and he's getting out of that. So like you can't just lock him away.
mm-hmm,
You might as well bring him to Nevermore.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I like to think that he hopped out of the back of that van and immediately transferred back to Tyler and then started texting Wednesday and was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna kill you. And then
That was another idea that I had as well.
all right, well, I think you got anything else?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to see the grandma and cousin It.
Yeah.
Although I couldn't tell the episode that Fester was in, I couldn't tell if they were alluding to cousin It being dead or not.
Yeah, I mean, you see his picture in the Nightshade room, which I thought was funny, but maybe in season 2 we'll see him if he is alive or it is alive. Because like the picture wasn't like a memorial of him. It wasn't like he's dead and it didn't have like dates on it or anything like that. And we don't even know if he can die. So
yeah, I forget what was said, what Uncle Fester was saying, but something in my mind was like he's alluding to cousin It being dead. I don't know.
I really don't want to watch that particular episode again.
Nothing either, bud. But yeah, so I'm hoping to see more of those characters. I saw like an article being shared about how there's going to be more of the family in season 2.
I don't even know that I want that. Like
Just like go back to the school. Some people didn't like that it was set at a school. They thought it was too Harry Potter or too Sabrina, like the new show per se.
Yeah, yeah, that was one of the arguments that my friend's wife made, was just like the Harry Potter thing.
But
Um,
what other thing were they gonna do with it? You know what I mean? Like it makes sense for Wednesday to go to a boarding school.
yeah, the only other thing that they could have done would have been like homeschool, but then you just end up with another Adams Family movie
Mhm.
plot, and then you have to use like the whole family as characters in the plot, and I feel like that leads to an Adams Family TV show, not a Wednesday TV show. The only thing that made this a Wednesday show is because the family isn't in it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I she has to go back to school. Like, that's all there is to it.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe one of her parents will end up being the principal, or the new principal, who knows?
that would be interesting.
You know, since they killed off Christina Ricci, whatever, since not to put disrespect on her name, but like it would be interesting if like someone from the movies, like if they did like another cameo thing like that.
So, you done talking?
Yeah, I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
packed.
Yeah.
Was my steam.
Yeah.
That was a
That's
that was a good talk. I'm really glad we did this.
yeah, that was fun.